Hello! Apparently we're live. Look, Mimsy's with us right from the start. Looking very regal, like she's in charge. Hello, Luke and Biori. Luke's been seeing mice or rats. Happened in this house. One of the cats. I don't know which one. Oops. Don't know what that is. Don't usually leave that on, but it's gone now. Yeah, all right. You get some attention paid to you. Hi, Catherine. How's it going? Yeah, one of the cats, I don't know which one, killed, I think it was a small rat. It was either a very large mouse or a small rat, and just left it in the house. I was not impressed if it was you. I suppose at least it wasn't dismembered, it was just dead. Hello, Miss Foxification and Tendai and Sharase. Yes, Mimsy's joining us for the duration by the looks of this. And Megalich, hello. Yes, for those who were wondering, why am I doing it on a Monday night? Well, I haven't made a video, God, since last Thursday's live stream. And I have a physio appointment tomorrow that's later than usual that would interfere with the normal time I do the Tuesday live stream. So I probably can't do it tomorrow. So I thought I would do it tonight. Because I haven't been on the tubes of you for a while, so I thought I'd take this opportunity. Tell me why I didn't make a Jeffy video. I did all the planning. I had things I was going to do, and I don't know, life gets in the way, I guess. Hey, Chronic, how's it going? If Mimsy was teaching the cat the rat tapping, she tapped a bit hard. Hey, Aussie Gun Bunny, how's it going, man? Yes, post-election fun. Yeah, there's one thing, so, I get to discuss now, seeing I didn't make a video on the weekend, the New South Wales state election, which the Liberal Party was re-elected with a slim, possibly just one seat majority. I think there are still some undecided seats. Also, as I pretty much predicted last week, scum of the earth, Mark Latham did get a Senate seat, which is both disgusting and predictable. I did actually predict it. Yeah, and of course, the other big element in a lot of people's minds, much bigger, was we now know the Mueller investigation in the US has concluded, and his report's been presented. And Trump's toady Attorney General presented a 4-page summary, which, as some people have said, doesn't even have one complete sentence from the Mueller report in it. So the Democrats are going to lobby for everything in the Mueller report that doesn't jeopardize any other indictment to be made public. We'll gradually find out more. I don't think there's going to be anything indictable in it, but there'll be lots of ammunition for the Democrats to launch more inquiries and more hearings, which may or may not hurt Trump or his family. Who fucking knows? As I've said for the last, well, basically since he got elected, I have ceased to want to predict anything about Trump or his presidency, because nothing about him makes sense. So trying to apply any common sense or intelligence to what is going to happen with him is a mug's game, because nothing about Trump or his presidency makes any sense. So, Larity, the NSW, the Not Safe for Work election. Well, look, New South Wales got what they got now. Looks like they're going to be getting more development that favours the rich and not the working class. Step backwards for reproductive rights in New South Wales, according to most people. the environment's fucked, hey. But, yep, you know what? Labor clearly didn't do anything to convince the electorate that that's who you should go with. You wouldn't have to be real smart to guess who I would have been backing, not the Liberals. But they got the numbers. Look, there's a cruise ship in bad seas having to helicopter people off. I haven't heard that story. It sounds interesting. I've seen in the past some spectacular video from cruise ships in high seas. There's one. It's really weird because it's a security camera, so it's fixed, and the ship's clearly pitching like this because it's in the bar and tables and stuff go, and people go everywhere. I think you end up with a lot of people getting injured when those cruise ships get into very rough seas. I didn't know one was happening at the moment. I didn't see any news on that. Sorry, I like that heretic. Trump's a popular fool. If the Democrats can't get a candidate, she's popular one again. I don't know. Like I said, I think the Trump presidency just goes, punditry is bullshit. Trying to say anything intelligent about US politics is a waste of time, because what happens there is clearly not dictated by intelligence. Lemonheads, good morning to you in Canada. Hey, sure. I'm sure the cruise ships do have mitigation systems, but yeah, this one that I don't know what it was pretty famous. I've seen the video lots. I've seen video of the ship from the exterior, so there must have been a helicopter going by or something, and you can see it's just being pitched back and forth in these really high seas. And then the video from on board the ship, you see it sort of starts going woo, and people are going woo, and tables go woo, and then they just and people have been trying to hang on, stuff is just flying across the floor, and tables and shit are going everywhere. Very unpleasant. I had a friend who grew up in England, and he talked about how bad channel crossings could get on the ferry in high seas. And sometimes when they were coming into port in England, if the seas were too rough, they might decide it wasn't safe to try and get through the heads of the port, and they have to stay in the open sea to wait the storm out, and this ferry just pitching out. And he just used to tell the grossest stories about even people who don't get seasick and everyone's inside the ferry, like you're locked in the ferry, and then people start throwing up, and because of the vomit, and you're trapped in there with even people who aren't seasick start vomiting. And he just talked about how the ferry's pitching and just little waves of vomit waft. It just sounded like the most disgusting thing ever. He was a bit prone to exaggeration, so I'm not sure if everything he said was literally true. Oh, that's a ding reminding me of why I'm not doing the live stream tomorrow night, because I've got a physio appointment tomorrow at 8 when I would normally start this. So I've got to go to my physio. Yeah, he's other thing, because he lived on the northern beaches of Sydney when I knew him, and there are ferries that go from Circular Quay across to the North Shore in Sydney, and they used to talk about when a storm, as usually the remnants of a cyclone or a tropical storm from up north, when it reached Sydney, and they realised it's going to be high seas. When the harbour was very rough, which was rare, but it happened. they'd cancel ferries. They used to play the game of trying to guess the last ferry before they were cancelled, because that would be a really wild trip with it just being pitched over and being like a fun park ride. Hey, you know, different strokes for different folksing. Look, I can imagine the Spirit of Tasmania could get caught, and the open sea in Bass Strait could get pretty rough. And because it's always full of cars, I can imagine in particularly rough seas, the cars all smashing into each other. Connie, you're worried if the Democrats don't have a proper plan, they're handing Trump re-election. Look, like I said, I've got no fucking idea, man. Nothing about him makes sense. I don't know if it matters who the Democrats put forward. Everyone has their 2 cents. You've got people saying Joe Biden's the most popular. I think Joe Biden's a shithouse choice. But there are people who say he's popular. I don't know. I don't know Americans. I don't know America. I don't know anything. Nobody knows anything. Milk Alaska. That was his own line. Trump said he could shoot someone and he wouldn't lose any supporters. And I think from what we've seen, that was not even hyperbole. Mind you, if we think back a bit, Vice President Cheney did shoot someone in the face with a shotgun and suffered no negative repercussions from that. He was drunk while they were grouse shooting. That's the bit that they lied about, that he wasn't drunk and just shot his friend in the face. That was obviously what happened. Oh, an accident could happen. No, if you're not drunk, you take certain precautions so you don't shoot people in the face. Cheney was drunk and shot his friend in the face, but didn't suffer any negative repercussions for it. But I don't know. Like I said, none of that shit makes any sense to me. But anyway, MS Foxification, I did hear that proposal of forcing anyone running for president to release their tax returns. One of the variants I heard of that was one of the states saying they wouldn't allow someone on the presidential ballot unless they'd release their tax returns. So Fury, Madame Guillotine thirsts for Trump meats. Yes. This is a weird thing. Like, okay, so yes, join the Pepsi. I was thinking about this live stream, and because for the last couple live streams, I made a cocktail at the halfway mark, and I was thinking about it tonight. And I felt weird about it. Something about drinking alcohol on a Monday felt weird. It's like I've clearly got no qualms about drinking alcohol on a Tuesday, but a Monday just seemed too much. So why is one day different to another? Why does the human brain do that? Human brains are ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. So yeah, so what's that, heretic? The oops, I murdered my friend because I was drunk is a good defense in Tennessee. And Milk Alaska, you reckon bonus points if you were smoking meth at the time. Yeah. Luke, it's not the time, it's the day of the week. Obviously, it's 5 p.m. somewhere. It's the old saying is if the sun's past the yard arm. Yes, a lot of talk of decorum centers around not drinking before lunch. Miss Foxification, you may be right. Not drinking on a Monday might just be trying to pretend Monday's not so horrible. I'm going to look something up that I think is hilarious. I'm going to see if I can find it. Good Lord, my typing is very bad. Okay. This is, okay, I'm looking it up. This is the Queen of England, and the Queen Mother apparently used to do the same. But basically, the report is that the Queen and the Queen Mother, when she was still kicking around, drink 4 cocktails a day. Has a gin before lunch, a gin and Dubonnet cocktail before lunch with a slice of lemon and lots of ice. And she has wine with lunch and a dry martini and a glass of champagne in the evening. So, four beverages a day. And that's more than 4 standard drinks as well, when you think about it. The gin and Dubonnet is probably at least 2 standard drinks. Dry martini is usually at least 2 standard drinks. Glass of wine is almost always more than 1 standard drink. It's probably 2 standard drinks as well. And a glass of champagne, depending on the champagne, could be 1 or 2 standard drinks. And Miss Foxcassion, you raise a good point. You'd drink 2 if you had to deal with Charles. Today, Philip, bring me my 5 a.m. cocktail. Philip and the Queen don't sleep together and haven't for decades. That's another bit of truth. But I love it. A gin cocktail before lunch, wine with lunch, a dry martini, and champagne before bed. So, and that's every day. It's so funny when you read health things about alcohol consumption. I think they sort of talk about don't have more than 3 standard drinks a day. That is between 2, 3, 4, 5. That's somewhere between 6 and 8 standard drinks a day, every day. So yeah. Yeah, look, I don't even think that qualifies as binge drinking. If she had them all one after the other, that'd be binge drinking. There are different sorts of alcoholism. I'm not saying the Queen or the Queen Mother is an alcoholic. I'm just saying they drank a lot of alcohol. But of course, when a lot of us, when we think of alcoholics, we think of people who binge drunk, get blackout drunk, who damage their health really badly with regular excessive drinking, like, you know, a whole bottle of spirits every day, several bottles of wine a day, and they get blackout drunk. But there are different sorts of alcoholics. Some, a little bit like the Queen, drink steadily during the day, so they're always just a little bit drunk. They're always just a little bit zonked out. And I mean, like Mrs. Angry, my partner, who's a psychologist and counsellor, used to work in drug and alcohol counselling. And she sort of told me once, like, if you have a boss who's acting weird and their breath smells like banana, they're probably a drunk. And what they're doing is they're getting like cooking essences from a supermarket. Because in case you haven't realized, a lot of things like lemon essence and banana essence and whatnot made for making cakes and other things tend to be between 40 and 60% alcohol. Now, they're only little bottles of it, but because it doesn't seem like it's booze, a lot of people will drink the banana essence in milk, for instance, and they'll just be getting a little bit drunk, and there's nothing that they have that, you know, looks like alcohol. Leah, you pissed off at the New South Wales vacant. Oh, yeah. I predicted last week Mark Latham was more than likely to win in the Senate. Oh, yeah, okay. Daley stood down, the Labor leader. That's standard. If you lose an election, you normally step aside. And not always, as Bill Shorten, who did a fairly good job of only just losing the last federal election, stayed on. But it's commonplace for a party leader who loses an election to at least volunteer to stand aside. Mitchell, can alcohol be a factor in strokes? It certainly can, my friend. It's a cancer risk. It's a heart disease risk. It's a stroke risk. And of course, you can fuck up your liver and kidneys. Tendo, wouldn't I rather be a little drunk dealing with Parliament? Well, it'd be forgivable, I think. Musical activity, yes. Monday live stream, because I'm going to be at the physio tomorrow night. And because I haven't done any videos since like last Thursday's stream. So I just thought I'd do the prize live stream tonight. Similar Milk Alaska, quoting the classics, God save the Queen, she ain't no human being. Dr. Papa Bong, yeah, you think my cat's getting into my booze? I do find the bottles nearest to her there tend to have a lot of cat hair on them, quite honestly. I brush them off before I open them because I don't want cat hair to get in the booze. See what I get? That's a new one. Every now and then I'll get something new. That's actual cognac there, Hennessy cognac. I normally, if I'm making a cocktail that calls for cognac, I normally just substitute brandy, which is a lot cheaper. But I thought I was in Costco. That's from Costco, where it's a bit cheaper than the other little shops. I just thought, you know what? I have a job. I can afford cognac, and so I got some cognac, and I did actually make some cognac cocktails over the weekend. Shiraz, are you saying Southern Cross Station, which used to be Spencer Street Station, you're saying it was Batman Station? Well, that's Batman Hill. It's on Batman Hill. Yes, for those who don't know, the settlement of Melbourne was founded by a guy called John Batman, who actually wanted to call the town Batmania, but he was overruled. But there are lots of streets and locales named after him. Hey, Toronto Maple Leafy, you've still got the old insomnia happening? I understand. That's okay. The Heretic, another question. Do I find it odd that meat used to be rare and expensive, but it's now become a staple part? That's industrialization. So many products used to be rare and expensive, but industrialization made a whole bunch of products cheaper. And traditional farming got overtaken by industrial scale farming. That's why meat got so cheap, because it's not meat being produced now is done completely differently to 100 years ago. So it's the industrial scale of meat production that made it more affordable. The Heretic, you should try and avoid processed meat because most processed meat is a cancer risk too. Toronto Maple, oh, what do I think of the Mueller report? Did mention that earlier. Well, we don't know yet. There's just that bollocks 4-page summary by Trump's stooge Attorney General. Clearly, that's not enough information. It's the whole thing about it seems like Mueller didn't find anything indictable on Trump, but also is absolutely not saying Trump didn't do anything wrong. I think there's going to be fuel in their there'll be enough ammunition in the Mueller report and other indictments that are still going on in various states for the Democrats to have a whole bunch of hearings and whatnot. Who knows what they'll uncover? Maybe something, maybe nothing. Who fucking knows? Hey, Byron, how are you doing? Yeah, salted pork is the thing. Pork products, sausages, bacon, cured ham, that sort of thing, has been confirmed to be a cancer risk. So that's a real thing. Some people are still in denial about that, but that's a real thing. But you're saying the Labour leader was forced. Yeah, often that is forced. Okay, I haven't heard that. You're saying National Executive put a gag order on the New South Wales ALP. I haven't been paying that close attention to the thing. I'm going to look up and see. Do you have a citation for that, Leah? I was just doing a quick search and didn't find anything on that. I'm just going to change the search criteria a little bit. So Michael Daly stood aside. Oh, they're saying they're not going to re-nominate for a leader till after the federal election. Ah, that's interesting. And his deputy, Penny Sharp, will be acting leader. All right. That actually suggests that the federal leadership are expecting some sort of fight. Yeah. So if they've decided not to even have the vote for who will be party leader until after the federal election, that suggests they think there's going to be a fight and they don't want the distraction. That's interesting. Natalie, yes, we've got Mimsy's mum. She'll probably wake up and turn around at some point and demand I scratch her head. Toronto Maple Leaf, I think you'll find our Target and Kmart are quite different to those in North America. Target in particular, I think I don't think they're even affiliated. I think they're very different. Kmart, I think, is theoretically a similar owner. I don't know. But I think you'll find an Australian Target or Kmart is very different to what's in North America. So yes, Leo, I did find obviously no one in the Labor Party is saying they've been banned from talking, but the fact is they're not going to have a ballot on the state leadership till after the federal election, which the rumour mill was saying is now likely to be May 11th. I think the last date it can be is May 18. That upset Mrs. Angry because that's when the final of Eurovision's on, and Mrs. Angry really likes watching election results and really likes watching Eurovision, and she'd be super upset at the Libs if they set the election to coincide with Eurovision. She'll be much happier if it's on the 11th rather than the 18th. But with the amount of time they need to announce it, that would mean if they're going for May 11, that Scummo would announce the election in the next week or so. Well, Shrazi, I think Mrs. Angry thinks Eurovision's more important than voting. She'd just be miffed if she was forced to choose. Tendo, I don't think America gives a shit about Eurovision. Australia was only added to Eurovision because Australia was weirdly obsessed with it, and the Eurovision promoters realised there was money to be made from licensing it to Australia. Hey, Safa, how's it going? Oh, Miss Foxification, it's no. What upsets Mrs. Angry is she wants to watch the election results live, and she wants to watch the Eurovision when SBS screen it. So they would clash if the election was on the 18th. Chronic, what's Eurovision? Oh my God, what's Eurovision? Eurovision is a music contest that's happened in Europe for decades, for a really long time. It's basically a whole bunch of countries from, well, very loosely speaking, Europe. Like people saying, what's Australia get involved? It's not in Europe. Look, there are countries that qualify more as Asia than Europe who are in it, like the Eastern Europe countries, which are really more Asia than Europe, and then Israel, when I was the fucking Middle East. Israel's not Europe, so it's never been very strict in its interpretation of what is Europe. But of course, they were all places from that big land mass, and Australia is a long way away from that. But it's purely money. They're including Australia because Australians are obsessed with Eurovision, and they saw an opportunity to make money by including Australia in it. It's pretty straightforward. Like most things, it's driven easy. No, it's not like the Grammys. It's more like American Idol than the Grammys, except it's countries rather than individuals competing. Oh, yes, Keiko. It is funny how shit the UK does every year. Ireland gets to send someone individual, of course, being a different country. Toronto Maple Leaf Eurovision gets weird. Like, probably the most famous winners of Eurovision ever were ABBA back in the 70s. So, well, the voting for Eurovision is hilarious because each country gets, I think, 10 votes. You know, you give 10 votes to the one you want the most, all the way down to 1. And you can't vote for your own country. And there's always this scurrilous talk about countries doing secret deals in the back rooms to, you know, vote for each other or whatnot. But, you know, yes. Oh, yes, I do remember the Finnish black metal band. They were all dressed up like orcs. That was a pretty funny winner. Normally it's like pop acts, but some of the acts are really folky. And like I say, sometimes they're metal. And there are always a couple of weird ones. I like the gay vampire from a couple years ago, the guy who sang in the falsetto, because some of the staging they do is just spectacular. Some of the staging they do is awful. Some of the songs are awful, but it's pretty funny. Natalie, that winner from a couple of years ago. I never looked into thing. I was never sure if she was trans or a drag queen. I'm not sure that's even particularly important, but yes, in drag with a beard, very, very, very nicely trimmed beard. But yes, the heretic. See, you're right. That's another thing. The UK could end up getting kicked out of Eurovision for being mean to the European Union, and a significant number of competing countries in Eurovision are not in the EU. So I guess that's where that falls apart. Okay, Natalie, see, this thing, I never looked into it. I wasn't sure, yeah, if while not performing identifies as a man, yeah. Heretic. Brexit jokes are the dead jokes of politics. I love it. Yes, Safi, Russia and the vast majority of the former Eastern Bloc countries are in Eurovision. And that's what I mean. Geographically, these places aren't Europe, they're Asia. But yeah. It is odd. So UK pays for TV license. Look, everyone always goes up because there's a specific charge called the TV license in the UK that you have to pay. But in Australia, we pay for the TV license. It's just part of our tax. There's not a thing that says this $20 is your TV license. But there's a chunk of your tax that pays for the ABC, which I am 100% okay with. Yeah, but it's a thing people in the UK can arc up at because there's a specific thing they pay called the TV license. Yes, no, they pay per. It is. It's a license per TV. Yeah, and now that's all gotten weird because well, this is a TV now, and you know your PC is a TV. So how do they do it anymore? Well, see, that's the thing, paying for the Eurovision TV rights. That's why Australia has been included in Eurovision because of the TV rights. So the TV detector vans, I always remember that's always seemed so weird to me that there used to be, and I'm sure they gave up on the TV detector vans years ago, but there used to be like an enforcement division for TV licenses, and there were vans that purportedly could detect TV, and if there wasn't a record of that property having paid their TV license, they'd knock on the door. Super weird stuff. There's one of my favorite episodes of The Young Ones when the TV detector van guys come into their house and they haven't paid their TV license and they don't know what to do. And then Mike tells Vivian to eat the telly, and Vivian's really excited by that. It's like, yeah, I've been waiting for this day. And they stall the TV detector guy, and then he finally bursts in, and he bursts into the lounge room, and there's no TV, but Vivian's got a cord sticking out of his mouth, and the guy just goes, the old trick. Eat the telly and think I won't charge you. Yes. You're going to wait for it to pass out the other end and then nick them. Oh my God, I thought that shit was stupid. That's that same stupid fucking cunt. Jesus. I'm so fucking sick of that brain dead fucking troll. How many fucking accounts do they want to start up to just be a fucking complete asshole? No matter how many times I've seen it, and I've seen it hundreds, if not thousands, probably thousands of times in the last decade and a bit that I've been on YouTube. Fucking, and not just YouTube, also, you know, other social media, particularly Twitter, to a lesser extent, Facebook. Fucking losers who create multiple accounts for the sole purpose of being time-wasting trolls. I mean, what the ever-loving fuck is missing from someone's life who would do that? It's so fucking strange. In Canada, Toronto Maple, if you have cable, satellite, over-the-air TV stations, yeah. That's, oh God, the old days of how difficult TV reception was. Dr. Popper, you saying these days you can just declare you don't want to pay for a TV license in the UK? It's always been a bit weird. It's always been a bit weird. Like that misclassification. I have so much space reserved in the head, should sublet it to Aldi. Yes. Oh God, that was a weird one. I did see that. Safa, one of the women footballers, there was an awesome photo of just this insanely athletic kick one of the female footballers did. Insane, like her foot's up over her head. The strength and flexibility required to kick like that is a stat, and it was a great photo. It was an athletic photo, but you know, just because the legs were spread, all these fucking bogan trolls on the Channel 7 site just were making vile, obnoxious comments. And yeah, initially, you know, Channel 7 took the photo off their website. And then later they said that was actually the wrong thing to do. We should have just banned the people making the vile comments. But it was a great photo. Just an incredible photo of an athlete. And just the, like, I swear to God, like the kick, she's just, her legs are 180 degrees. The strength and flexibility required to kick like that to my head in. Mitchell, should TV be free and ad-free? We would not have much to watch if all TV was free and ad-free, because there's no such thing as free. There's taxpayer-funded TV. But if you're talking about stuff that we're not paying for in taxes, it can't be free and ad-free because you have to pay for it. So if the only TV was the state-sponsored taxpayer-funded TV, we'd have a lot less to watch, like 99% less to watch. So yes, I'd say that's not a workable idea. But aren't the different subscription services are getting so hard to wrap your head around now? More keep popping up. I signed up to Netflix finally when Star Trek Disco happened. And I've since found just fucking heaps of additional stuff to watch on Netflix. And there's, God, I'm not sure which other ones exist in Australia. There's a local one called Stan. I think Amazon Prime is here now. Oh yeah, we don't have choices in cable providers here, La Heretic. There's literally only one. There was a kind of sort of competition for a while, but the Australian market's not big enough to support it. So there's one cable provider, Foxtel, and there are a couple of shows, not many, but there are a couple of shows I do want to see on Stan, but I've never paid to pay for it. And there are a couple on Amazon Prime I want to see, but I haven't signed up for that yet. Because there's just so many of them. They keep, like, Disney's going to have one, and all these other people are going to have one. I think there is some government funding goes to commercial networks and Foxtel for certain things, and the commercial networks and Foxtel wrought that really badly. Yeah, Shazi, I try and avoid pirating stuff, but every now and then there's stuff that it's not possible to watch legally in Australia, and that really shits me. I mean, probably the only thing I really want to watch on Stan is Preacher, and on Amazon Prime is American Gods. And I don't know who's going to screen Good Omens in Australia. I really want to watch that. I don't know if it's going to be on something I'm already subscribed to. I have Foxtel and Netflix, hopefully one of those, but it might be Amazon Prime or it might be Stan who gets it, which would be annoying. Yes, Luke, most of the torrent sites are blocked in Australia now. You can probably still find some, but most of them are blocked. See, Tendai, I've only seen, like, there are little Preacher spots on YouTube from, like, their official ones from the people who put them on. And I read the Preacher comic back in the 90s. So I was very interested that they made a series. And just from the little bits I've seen, I know the series diverges quite a bit from the comics. And that's the bit of the trend. The Walking Dead TV show diverges a lot from the comics. Game of Thrones TV show diverges a lot from the books. So, yeah. See, Music I don't know who's doing the next season of The Expanse in Australia, if that is Amazon Prime or Netflix or Foxtel. I know Netflix had season 1 and 2 of The Expanse, and there is a season 3, and they're making a season 4. I'm not sure who's going to have that in Australia. The heretic, we all hate capitalism. Music of course, that's right. The Expanse is books. I would probably enjoy the books. Maybe I should do that. I should read the Expanse books. But yes. Yes, Miss Foxification, you're right. The ridiculous knee-jerk reaction of the government saying the white supremacist murderer terrorist in New Zealand it's the internet's fault. The internet's not good, but then again, neither is traditional media or politicians. They all have responsibility for radicalizing these right-wing extremists and making them feel validated. Larry here, deplatform the Nazis from social media for sure. Deplatform them from fucking politics and media as well. Chronic, that movie, Australian movie from a couple of years ago, Animal Kingdom. That is one of the best Australian movies ever. It's a great story. The acting is brilliant, but the cinematography and the score, it's just the complete package. It is such a good movie. And then I did that bit with Jackie Weaver, who's just a legend of Australian TV and film. And that's what brought her to, very late in her career, brought her to international notice. She's the matriarch of a crime family, and she loves her boys. And a grandson shows up who was her daughter's son, who disowned the family, was disowned by the family, but she died of a heroin overdose, and the boy's still a teenager, and he shows up and Granny says she'll take him in. but he's not her son. He's her grandson. And she doesn't trust him at a certain point where she thinks he's going to turn on the family. And she blackmails a corrupt cop. So basically saying you have to take care of him because he knows about you and you've done terrible things, Dahl. Yeah, Megaleech, it's a series. I'm not sure if it's on Netflix or something else, but they did make a series, Animal Kingdom. I haven't seen it. Chronic, you're saying you can't understand why the cops walked up to the... I'm not sure what you're saying there. Do you mean why they didn't walk up to a guy in a car and show him? I'm not sure what you're referring to there. Mitchell, are there left and right extremists? Are there left-wing extremists murdering people? No, there aren't. Are there right-wing extremists murdering people? Yes. For instance, in the US, that's who's most likely to kill you. A white Christian right-wing extremist is the most likely person to kill you in the US in a mass shooting or a terrorist event. Everyone's paranoid. You know, I'm worried about Islamic extremists killing. And yes, obviously, there's far too many cases of Islamic terrorists killing people. But in the US, you are more likely to be killed by a white Christian right-wing extremist. So, yeah, this whole left and right in the same is ridiculous fucking lying horseshit. It's like, oh, Antifa, they're as bad as the fascists. No, they're fucking not, because what the fascists are doing are declaring that they want to exterminate anyone who doesn't meet what they call purity. What the anti-fascists are doing are fighting the fascists. Without an anti-fascist resistance, the fascists are going to kill people. Without the fascists, the anti-fascists won't do a fucking thing. I have nothing but absolute contempt for anyone who pushes the line. Well, the extreme left and the extreme right are just as bad. All the people who say that are doing is validating these extreme right-wing terrorists. What they hear is, I'm not doing anything wrong. So fuck anyone who says that. And hey, GP Jalopy, how are you doing? Here's one thing. I just refuse to fucking pander to people. Yeah, Jojo Mixler, I'm all for Egg Boy. Mainly because he humiliated the fucking Nazi Fraser Anning. And I'm not using that as an epithet. You call everyone you disagree with a Nazi. Fraser Anning preaches Nazi ideology. So it's just, yeah, Luke, I'm pretty sure I know who it is too. But I am going to be the give him enough rope, Mr. Tolerant at the moment. Chronic, none of us rational people understand why people are adopting Nazi ideology. It's fucking horrifying. And also the idea that keeps getting put about that, you know, you should be debating Nazis. No, you should be fucking smashing Nazis. Natalie, I saw Egg Boy had gone on the project and he did the say what people want him to say thing about, oh yeah, I did the wrong thing, yeah. Hey, nobody, how's it going? Yellow Heretic, when your enemy is literally about violence, when their core ideology is violence, you can't resist them without violence. They're not listening to words. When their words are, I'm going to kill all these people that I regard as lesser, I'm going to expel them from my country, words don't really cut it. Safa, the big old question, why does the US support overseas dictatorships? They have a very poor track record of being blinded by ideology and supporting people who not only are terrible for their own country, but end up being very bad for the United States, you know. So saying, GP, Sky News has a lot to answer for. Sky News is fucking white supremacist central, and they're just liars. I hate people who argue in bad faith, who present bad faith arguments. I'm just so fucking pissed off at it, because they just want to waste your time, and it's just like they're completely inconsistent. Every time you catch them out in their shit, they just wriggle and twist and turn around, and everything they do is in bad faith. There's no point engaging with them because there's no consistency or good faith in them. Safa, I had not heard that. Russian troops in Venezuela. Geez, that'll strain Trump's love affair with Putin if that's happening. GP, you want to inflict Sky News on yourself? Go for it. You're a stronger individual than me. I know and you can't avoid it, because stuff in Sky News gets repeated in the media and on social media. So I'm very regularly being exposed to what's being said on Sky News. That's why I had my little rant about how they talk in bad faith, because they do. It's absolutely ridiculous, the hypocritical shit they spout all the time. I did see that was on Safa. There's a thing about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists and the fascists and the basic scumbags and their rise in the world today, Four Corners. That's a show that still does some good investigative reporting. I don't watch it very often, but they do things. I've always loved that saying, nobody arguing with a fuckwit. If you argue with a moron, they bring you down to their level and beat you with experience. And so a variant of that is arguing with these bad faith morons is like trying to play chess with a pigeon. The pigeon will just knock over all the pieces and shit all over the board and then still strut around as if it won. So yeah, it's just like I've been doing it for years. More and more people are getting onto it. So way back, I used to just make my shut the fuck up videos, whereas like particular groups who were demanding you engage and debate them, whether they were the Nazis, climate change deniers, various other morons, and just make a video where I just repeatedly yell shut the fuck up at them. Like, they just say this ridiculous shit and demand that you engage with them. But there's nothing to engage with. There's no intellectual honesty in what they say. There's no moral core to what they say. They just argue in bad faith and want to waste your time and grind you down. So it's just like, no, shut the fuck up. That's what I'm talking. Of course, Chumbawamba have a song about that. A song they have called "The Day the Nazis Died." There you go. Yes, Luke. Not so much My Little Pony fans as in the kids it's aimed at, but bronies. Yeah, bronies are weird as fuck. Sexualizing My Little Pony. What the fuck? And what's another good one? The dead Kennedys had Nazi punks fuck off. And trying to think, the anarchist punk band I used to listen to, Crass. Don't think they actually had one that specifically mentioned Nazis. But there was a great track they had on one of their less well-known albums, and it was basically all the arguments that they continually had leveled at them, opposing anarchist ideals, and who'd clean the toilets, who'd sweep the streets, and the response every time is, yeah, what if I told you to fuck off? There's a certain sort of person who demands that you respond to them and demands you keep on responding to them. And they're just a waste of your time. They don't deserve anything more sophisticated than why don't you fuck off? It's absolutely ridiculous. What's the Chumbawamba lyrics from Try Maple Leafer? If you meet these historians, I'll tell you what to say. Tell them the Nazis never really went away. They're out there burning houses down and peddling racist lies. We'll never rest again until every Nazi dies. Nice. Mitchell, can we sack the parliament through election? Well, all we can do as individuals is vote at the local level and, maybe get involved and be an activist. So, enough of a groundswell, you can change the government. I really feel like it would, we'd be better off if it wasn't the two-party system. And it's not, strictly speaking, a two-party system. Anyone can run, anyone can start a new party. It's like, not that I'm a huge cheerleader for the Greens by any stretch of the imagination, but if circumstances were such that Labor couldn't form government in their own right and they had to form a coalition with the Greens and they needed the Greens' support to stay in government, and so they'd have to do trade-offs with the Greens on policy, maybe we'd get some better policy. And even on the Conservative side, if okay, well, the Liberal Party have never won government in their own right anyway. It's always been in coalition with the Nationals, but the Nationals are fucking whip dogs that just do whatever the Liberals tell them to. But yeah, maybe if there was enough truly independent Conservatives who would support a minority Conservative government, but sort of keep them in line a bit, I think we'd probably be better off. I mean, you see some places, Italy springs to mind. It's not just them. There's a lot of places where no one party can ever, like politics is so splintered in a lot of countries, no one party can ever form government. It's always coalitions. And you sometimes get some super friggin' weird political marriages of convenience, like really quite extreme right-wing groups being in coalition with majority progressive groups. It's very weird. So who's my local member? I live in a Liberal Party seat. Yay. Although they got scared in the state election, maybe they get scared in the federal election too. The heretic. Yes, Mimsy is definitely a cat who gives a fuck. And look, yes, and I am like you. It's hard not to be worried about just about everything all the time. I got to go back into the job market because I'm a contractor, so I change jobs regularly. Hey, 6 months passed, this contract's finished, go back into the job market. Yay. Although, God, I could probably do with taking April off. All the trains are going to be out in April on my side of town because of was once in a lifetime major rail works going on with the new city circle. Supposed to be finished in April. At least I live near a tram line, but that's going to be overcrowded with grumpy people. I'm going to have to get up earlier to try and beat the crowds. Yeah, like Luke, long bus trips, trains being, they're basically telling a lot of people allow an extra hour for your journey. It's like, so 2 hours a day, if you're commuting from some of the further out suburbs, 2 or more extra hours of your day taken up just getting to and from work. Fucking shit. And of course, a lot more people are going to attempt to drive into the city, which is going to make the drives into the city and parking in the city even worse than it is. Oh, Natalie, I'm with you. Work for the dole is fucking class warfare. I am so opposed to work for the dole. It's so no, if it was real training, that's one thing. And if it's real work, pay fucking award wages for it. Not fucking cronies of the Liberal Party getting slave labor. It's just fucking Jesus. No, that just I'm finding it hard to articulate how angry work for the dole makes me. I've never been subject to it. I was on the dole in my youth, but super fucking opposed to work for the dole. It's class warfare. Dole, unemployment benefits, welfare, whatever you want to call it. We're going for Dr. Popperbong thinks motorcycles are the answer. Tendo, you think jetpacks? I tell you what, motorcycles is interesting. The office building I work in, which has there's a lot of motorcycles parked in the street. Tell you what, the target market for Harley Davidson motorbikes does not seem to be outlaw bikers these days. It actually seems to be middle-aged, middle-class white guys, office workers with a crisis, midlife crisis. There's so many Harleys parked there. I saw the heretic. You want to join the Marines so you can do something you're loving. Play video games. You want to be a drone pilot. That's very much a thing. So Safa asking if I drive much. Probably not much. Like I take public transport to work. So maybe drive to the shops on the weekend. I can ferry my kids around all the bloody time. They're adults now. They don't have drivers, or they don't have a car. So yeah. So that's I don't. Sometimes I've driven to work. Like if I'm not in the city, I don't drive into the city. Sometimes when I've worked in the suburbs, I drive to work. But if I'm in the city, I'll do public transport. Oh yeah, Shazi, the 40-something office rebel. But I'm not joking. There's a lot of motorcycles, but so many Harleys, like and all different sorts. It's quite fascinating, all the different sorts that are there. Toronto Maple River, sounds like your dole payments are on a par with ours, less than $700 a month. Yeah, that's and the conservative forces around the world are moving more and more to make support payments humiliating process, which I really don't agree with. I think as society has a responsibility to look after all members of the society, and it's just fucking no, man. It's just making it as demeaning as possible is ridiculous. I'm gonna have to get. I am not gonna make a cocktail. I'm gonna get Pepsi, but maybe I'll make a fruity drink. Yeah, I think I'll do that actually. I need another block of ice in my thing. So we get a big old block of ice. Oh, Not one of my giant ones. A block of ice. I'm gonna do some lemonade and juice. I like this juice. It's like drink containers in my fridge. I was going, what the fuck is in that? And then I remembered, it's my Vegemite vodka. I'm still going to do like a challenge video of making other people drink my Vegemite vodka, because I tried it and I don't like it. Shirazi's current affairs still doing the expose on Dolce's. Probably that was something they used to do on the regular. All right. Give myself a fizzy tropical drink. Oh, Shirazi, Vegemite vodka is fucking terrible. I thought it might be okay, but I tried it with my friend Josh, and it's gross. So decided I'm not drinking any more of it. I'm going to get some people together, like a YouTube meetup or something, do a challenge video. I'll get my slow-mo camera going, and people have to drink a shot of the Vegemite vodka and not pull a face. Are we talking about the being able to do the Mikey on phones at Android only? Yeah, I don't know if I'd want to do it on my phone. My bank just started authorizing Apple Pay. What's weird is I didn't realize all I've got to do to bring up the Apple Pay is like double click and that comes up. And I didn't realize that's how it worked. And so when I was trying to do my thumbprint on the phone, after I sort of pushed it twice and this credit card thing popped up and I'm going, what the fuck? What the fuck is that? Chronic Vegemite on toast is great. And yeah, as Charlie says, a little goes a long way. A lot of people make the mistake of really layering Vegemite on like it's jam or something. You don't really want to do that. Sorry, did I miss something? Bury saying no wonder conservatives live longer. Why is that? Oh yeah, musically, I've never done it, but I can do the cardless withdrawal with my bank app on here. Shirazi, you're a thick Vegemite eater, are you? God, my friend Chopper can eat an entire jar of Vegemite with a spoon. He can eat a whole, just sit there and eat a whole jar. He did it for a video. Ate a whole jar of Vegemite, just spoon it in, fucking full on. Oh, Bureau, you think conservatives live longer because they don't get stressed by other people's suffering? Okay, I get it. Chronic, what does Vegemite taste like? It's really salty. Yeah, I mean, like people saying we did have a Vegemite chocolate marketed here as a one-off. I went to a specialty ice cream place that what do we call it? A Vegemite ice cream. But when Vegemite's with something, that's it, Shirazi. Umami. It's very umami. But I thought the Vegemite chocolate and this Vegemite ice cream I had tasted very much like salted caramel. Yes, I know. So yeah, Mimsy is in fact licking her ass. Now she's licking her leg. Yeah, she's woke up. She's just, fucking, she's in her own world. And we're just going to be subject to whatever she does now. Natalie, you reckon Vegemite's a bit like an olive? Yeah, that's the thing. I don't eat olives, so I'm not sure how close it is to olives. But yes, Shirazi hit the nail on the head with saying Vegemite is very umami. I like Vegemite. I like Vegemite sandwiches. I like Vegemite on toast. I like the thing that a lot of those bakery shops do with the Vegemite and cheese scrolls. I like them. What flavor is my punch? Is this? I get this from the supermarket. It's regularly on special, and that only costs about $1 when it's on special. Pineapple coconut. It's good with rum. Make tiki drinks with it. Safa, do I eat avocado? Yes, I like avocado. Probably a while since I've had any actually, but I like avocado. Yeah, the old smashed avo on toast. This is okay. Let's go for contentious pizza toppings. Pineapple's old hat. That's a ridiculous argument. I have done avocado on pizza. I think is really good. I've actually made avocado milkshakes, like smoothies. Those are yummy. Oh, Luke, you like egg on pizza? Okay. Yes, Justin, banana on pizza. I've done that. Oh God, Shirazi, you're going for really hipster places if they're putting snow peas and caramelized figs on pizza. Yes, chronic seafood pizza is big in Australia as well. Oh, sliced apple on pizza. Okay, that's an interesting one. Trying to think. Potato. Potato can be really good on pizza. Yeah, no, this is a Pizza Heresy live stream tonight. My first exposure to that, I worked at Pizza Hut while I was at uni, and someone, because we could make our own pizzas when we worked there, and yeah, one of my co-workers would get the potato salad from the salad bar and put that on pizza. Yeah, Charlie, barbecue sauce can be good on a pizza. I probably prefer tomato sauce, but yeah, often you get like barbecue sauce with chicken. What are you doing now, Mimsy? Come back up here. People want to see you. Spicy jalapeno sausage for Rashiu. Yeah, I mean, you know, you can put whatever you want on pizza, really, if it tastes good. Different vegetables, different meats. I like, multiple cheese pizzas. My favorite pizza in Melbourne is, there's the Italian district in Lygon Street in Carlton. There's like 20 or 30 Italian restaurants down there. There's one that does a 5-cheese pizza, cinque formaggi, including a blue cheese. Blue cheese on pizza is great, but I love places that do multi-cheese pizza. You know, blue cheese, feta, mozzarella, cheddar. There was one place that, as a gimmick, they advertised they had a 99 cheese pizza, which technically was true, but they were cheating quite a bit, because how it qualified to be a 99 cheese pizza is when they made the dough. They make a big batch of dough. They were putting cheese in the dough, but really small amounts of, I think it was like 90 cheeses going into that. Like they mix a big thing of dough, and just a sprinkling of 90 different sorts of cheese in the dough. And then the actual topping was like 9 different cheeses on the top. So they could technically say they'd made a 99 cheese pizza. Yeah. Safi, you said anchovy on pizza. Ugh. See, I used to work at Pizza Hut and I had to put anchovies on pizza and I haven't been able to tolerate them ever since. The pizza burger, I assume that's like with beef on it. A burger pizza. That's an interesting experience. So that'd be like a burger. The pizza. So a burger pizza would be a pizza with burger-like toppings on it to me, and a pizza burger would be a burger where the fillings were like pizza. So it'd be like tomato sauce and cheese. Maybe. GP Jalopy, why was the Vic election wasn't really a landslide for Labor? It was a convincing win. Why couldn't New South Wales have the same Labor? Because New South Wales Labor seems to be fucked. That's my answer, man. Victorian Labor had their shit together, and New South Wales Labor did not have their shit together. Oh yeah, baked garlic on a pizza? Definitely. Oh, Tonto Maple Leaf, it's a burger wrapped in pizza slices and cooked. Okay, cool. So you're putting your hand up for pizza shapes. I like that. Pizza shapes on a pizza, maybe? No. Why don't you come back up here where everyone can see you? Come up here. Can only just see the top of your head there. Yes, the top of your head. Larry Dick donut. Oh my God, donut burger. I've not had one, but I've had, like glazed donut with burgers. I did have, dude, it popped up on my Facebook memories the other day, a couple of years ago. I went, there was a burger festival at a park near where I was living, like with a bunch of food trucks, and it was there all day. And so I had, I think, 3 burger meals that day. But one of them was chicken and waffle burger. That's apparently a popular dish in the South in the US, chicken and waffles. And there actually was, instead of a bun, it was 2 waffles and big bit of like boneless fried chicken in there and some sauces and stuff, and some maple syrup. Very decadent. It was an interesting mix because you got this mix of sweet and salty. The waffles were a little bit sweet and they had maple syrup on them, and of course the saltiness of the chicken. Yeah, Megaleech, there's 1 or 2 cafes in Melbourne that do chicken and waffles. GP, were Michael Daly's comments racist? They were dumb, saying like, oh yeah, Asians are taking stuff away from your kids. But the idea of the Conservatives saying they were upset at racism is fucking ridiculous. That was bad faith bullshit. So the Icelandic president banned pineapple pizza. That's totalitarianism. A big shout out to Roscoe's. See your favorite place. I found a place I want to try on the weekend actually, because the comedy festival starts in Melbourne this week. I'm going to go out with Mrs. Angry on Saturday night, see some comedy shows, and maybe have dinner and a drinky or 2 at a venue in the city, because I don't often go out in the city. And there's a couple places I've got my eye on that sound really interesting, both with the food and drinks. Safa, yes, Latham got in. I expected he would. It was more likely than not he would get in, and he did in fact get in. Now, of course, we've got the countdown. We've got the countdown on for how long till Latham quits from One Nation, because I don't imagine his ego and Hanson's ego are gonna get on very well. And now that he got in, riding on Hanson's coattails, because of the stupid way the law works, he can just go, I resign from One Nation, but he can keep his Senate seat, which I personally think is bullshit. Shasi, I think he's already lasted longer than Fraser Anning. But, and then, yeah, a couple of days. I think that's longer than Fraser Anning lasted. But yeah, I can't imagine Latham's ego and Hanson's ego surviving each other for very long. And that's what's always made Hanson's big power plays fall apart. She's fucking horrible, and she gets fucking horrible people on her ticket. And what a surprise, fucking horrible people don't get on with each other. But yeah. It's just ridiculous. GP, you worried about how many people voted One Nation? Just because people are fucking racist. It's pretty simple. And the media enables the racist messages. We talked about this last live stream. It's complete fucking horseshit. Cushy on his morning TV show saying, doesn't Hanson feel bad because the manifesto by that fuckhead in New Zealand, sounds like a One Nation political document. It's like, well, don't you feel responsible? You fucking gave her a platform, you piece of shit. The idea that he can criticize Hanson when he gave her a platform is fucking ridiculous. So, yeah, I'm not really up for that level of hypocrisy. Shazi pointing out that racism is worse in Queensland. Yeah, probably. Oh yeah, nobody. Yes, the Jewish conspiracies. There's man, they do not get tired of obsessing about there being a huge Jewish conspiracy. That is a bit of bigotry that has survived for well over 1,000 years, which is pretty goddamn amazing when you think of it. The Great Australia Party. Mitchell, there are going to be so many fringe loony groups in the federal election. I haven't kept up. Shaz, you think that's Clive Palmer's party? I don't know. I don't know. Safa, why wasn't there a stream last Thursday? There was, wasn't there? Didn't I do a stream last Thursday? Is it a worry that I'm not actually sure? I thought I did. Yeah, I thought I did. One of those weird things. It's like, hey, you put me on the spot. Did I? I really thought I did. I thought that was the last time I made a video because I didn't make a pre-recorded TFU video. I really thought I did. I think I did one. I'm actually going to try and look at my video listing, but this laptop is so slow to load. Oh god, and they've changed how the whole fucking thing works. There's now separate tabs for uploaded videos and live videos. So maybe that's why you think I didn't do it, but I'm pretty sure I did. I'm now just trying to load the live videos. No, I absolutely wait. When was that? March 19th. Double checking the date. That was Tuesday. Why didn't I do a live stream on Thursday? I don't know. It's like been a week since I've been on. No, I made a video on Wednesday, didn't I? Wow, I'm just so easily confused, I have to admit. March 20th, I did. Isn't it weird that I can't remember? I really thought I did do a video on Thursday, but I didn't. There you go. Thank you, Luke. I did a work thing. That's why I don't remember, because I got drunk at a work thing. It was someone else paying for drinks, and I did not get home till about 9:30. So there you go. There's a work. God, my fucking brain. What is wrong with my brain? It's the alcohol. The alcohol did it. Sorry, Victor Leska. That is brilliant. As a kid, you wanted to go to Tasmania to become a vampire, so your brother ruined everything by saying you had to actually go to Transylvania. Tristan, if you can't remember what you did 5 minutes ago, well, thankfully, I got Luke to going to fill me in and remind me that I was at a work thing. So yes, well, I had a few ciders on Thursday night that someone else was paying for. So, oh God, and I tell you what, this guy who's actually worked in the legal department for the agency I was working with was trying to convince me to stay later and getting seriously into it. And I went, no, dude, I forget how many I had, 4 or 5 ciders, pints. Yeah, and he wanted me to stay and keep going. Ooh, fucking hell, Mimsy just dug a claw into me right when I was drinking. That normally, yeah, it was an open bar for beer, cider, and wine. I don't drink beer or wine, but I do drink cider. So yeah, 4 or 5. I don't think they were really pints. They were big glasses. I don't think they were really pints, but well, I had a few. Mitchell, what happened to Rod Cullerton? I know that name and I can't place it. I'm not even sure who they are. Oh, Jesus. Things were brutal in your family, Milk Alaska. Your dad told you Santa Claus was real but didn't get you anything for Christmas because you broke his recliner. Jesus. Oh, that's right, Luke. I was on a full train and I wanted to fart, but I was standing right next to someone's head, so it would have been farting right on their head. And I had to hold it in until I got off the train. Yes, I remember it all. Hi, Stella. How's it going? Jimmy, you think you pull in hands with an ostrich egg? I did like, I saw a thing on Facebook, someone saying, hey, if you want a handy vegan alternative to an egg when you're going after a Nazi politician, a brick is a good substitute, which made me smile. They're going to piss on everyone and have a fight club. I've thrown up on a train. Like in my entire life, I've only thrown up about 4 times from drinking too much, like in my whole life. And once was on a train, which was embarrassing. Shirley, Rob Collett was on lost his One Nation seat. Well, he was the one who got replaced by. Oh no, he's the one who's fighting with Hanson, isn't he? He's fighting with Hanson, and he says Hanson sexually harassed him, and he had a fight with Hanson's #1 advisor, James Ashby. Yeah. They're fighting. Mimsy. Yes. Oh, still you've moved to Melbourne. Nice. You're just in time for winter. Well, just in time for the comedy festival, actually. That's always a good thing. A couple of weeks of good comedy. Got to try and find something. Here's a legit question. What are we going to do if the coalition wins the next election? Survive. That's all there is to it. I think the chances of the coalition winning the next election are extremely remote. You know, the idea that they're taking any hope from the New South Wales result is fucking. They just don't get. They do not get that the Australian public is totally jack of them and their fucking stupidities. No, but it's not about trust, because I don't think people are voting against them for, you know, wonderful reasons, but they're just fucking ridiculous. Yeah, so after 7 ministers retiring, I've never seen such a vote of no confidence in their own government ever before. So yeah. We're talking about how cold it was. It was a little bit fresh in Melbourne. It was not really cold. It was a bit fresh. Nothing's impossible. It's just incredibly unlikely that they're going to suffer. If everyone in Australia lived in Melbourne, then it'd be like New York sized, which is another funny thing to think occasionally. There are individual cities in the world that have a population bigger than all of Australia. Darcy, you're right. The Shooter Fisher Farmer Party seem to have done quite well out of the New South Wales election. Oh, nobody personally. I think it would be a fucking disaster if the coalition won the federal election. It would be a nightmarish disaster. But the odds against it are so long. Yes, Natalie, they're basically they've killed the animals party, the shooters, fishers, farmers party. We could rename them the kill the animals party. That's a thing. Mitchell, what's a good party to vote for? Depends on your personal preferences. You know, you got to look at who's going to be government. Toronto Maple Leaf going to bed at 6:30. I hope you get some sleep, my friend. Justin, you think Melbourne will be the size of New York? Well, the entire population of Australia is smaller than New York, so I honestly don't think so. So do I pay attention to Dubbo anymore? Enough to notice it was getting mentioned. The seat of Dubbo was getting mentioned a lot in the election. It looked like an independent or someone from the Shooters Party was going to get in, but did ultimately go to the Nationals on a very small margin, I think. Shazi, the Sex Party, were they now the Reason Party? And they were a surprise winner of a Senate seat in the Victorian election. Fiona Patten. Got a bit of time for Fiona Patten. Has said some things I don't agree with, but a fair bit of time. I know I had some friends who were in the Sex Party and were big supporters of the Sex Party. And they weren't happy that the Sex Party changed their name. Of the largest cities in the world. Okay, so the only city that really has the population of Australia is Shanghai, has 24 million. Well, looking at the countdown, Beijing's 18.5 million, Karachi's 18 million, Istanbul 14 million, Dhaka 14 million, Tokyo 13 million, Moscow 13 million, Manila almost 13 million. Wow. Okay. Wow, New York's only 8 million. Only 8 million. Biggest US city by a long way, though. That's interesting. No one votes for Clive. So, if Clive Palmer stands in the next federal election, he's going to be so embarrassed. He's not going to get any votes. We're talking about cold temperatures, places like Ballarat. Dubbo would get sub-zero. My coldest temperatures I've had where I was living somewhere was in Bathurst, which is in the mountains west of Sydney. And I think the record when I was there was minus 14. Somewhere around there, it was minus 14 to minus 16. The heretic. If I survive the world melting, will I name my raider clan? Well, my favorite future documentary is Fury Road, Mad Max Fury Road. The war boys in that were just so good. Oh my God. I think we talked about that last stream too, that how Mad Max Fury Road is one of the greatest films ever. What else have I watched recently? I watched that new action movie on Netflix. What's it called? Triple Frontier. It's got Ben Affleck and Oscar Isaac and a couple of other recognizable He-Men in it. That was okay. It's not legendary. It was okay though. Did spend most of the time just looking at how beautiful Oscar Isaac was. And what else? I think I watched something. I finished watching Derry Girls on Netflix, which is absolutely fucking hilarious if you haven't watched it. It's about Irish Catholic schoolgirls. It's set in the 90s when the Troubles are really happening. And it is just so funny. If you might need subtitles, their accents are really quite broad. But I definitely recommend that as just laugh out loud. Hilarious. Derry Girls is really good. It's not particularly new, I don't think. I think it's relatively new. Were you trying to pick this fight with me last live stream, Safa, saying the Stallone Judge Dredd movie is better than the recent Dredd movie? Absolutely not. The 1995 Judge Dredd movie is fucking terrible. Absolutely fucking terrible. And the recent one with Carl Urban as Dredd is fucking brilliant. Dr. Obama, we were having this conversation about the New South Wales election. No, anyone in the Liberal Party who takes any hope from the New South Wales state election is fucking fooling themselves. That they absolutely, the federal Liberals, the ones who aren't jumping ship, are absolutely delusional, so delusional about their chances in the elections. They're going to get slaughtered. Absolutely going to get slaughtered. Yes, we're saying that we shouldn't have capital. Sorry, we are saying we shouldn't have capitalism, but homelessness is a big issue. I agree. But even homelessness, like everyone apart from a relatively small percentage of the population being squeezed out of the property market. You doing, Kat? See, I was a big Judge Dredd fan in the comics, 2008 comics. I had them for ages, and they have heaps of stories and properties that should be movies. Judge Dredd's just the longest run. Okay, here to me sums up where the problems started with the Stallone Judge Dredd movie. The central story about Dredd's brother, Rico, in the comics, that was a one-shot story. That was an 8-page story. And they bloated that out into the length of a movie. And there's this little bit when you're in the Cursed Earth with the Angel Gang. And Dredd's fight with the Angel Gang was an epic story that ran over multiple issues, and they threw that away in 5 minutes. So they took a 5-minute story and bloated it out to the length of a movie, and then they took a movie-length story and compressed it into 5 minutes and then threw it away. I mean, what the fuck is that about? And then they, for no apparent reason, jammed an ABC Warrior in there, which is not even the same universe as Dredd. So The Heretic, yes, we need a Dredd sequel, although the story has been in development for a couple of years. A TV series just based on Mega City 1, maybe not limited to Judge Dredd, but with all the thousands of 2000 AD stories they could draw on, yeah. Des Fodel, I think what you raised there is common around the world, in that homelessness is not as high as the amount of empty buildings. But that's capitalism for you. Miss Foxication, I think the intention is to make an Altered Carbon 2. That's a Netflix series, if you haven't seen it. That's interesting. Almost worth watching it again, actually. It's very cyberpunk, future dystopia sort of thing. It's a lot going for it. I was never sort of completely drawn in, and there was definitely some dumb stuff in Altered Carbon, but it was ambitious, which I like. I like people taking risks and going for big things. But I mean, yeah, what else have been on? I did, not that I'm the world's biggest Ricky Gervais fan, but I did watch the series that he has on Netflix called Afterlife. That was okay. I see a lot of people praising it, saying it's gutsy and hard hitting. I have to admit, it's basically, the basic story is, it's a story of a guy whose wife has died from cancer, and he's very nihilistic and grumpy and considering suicide and whatnot. And you know, there was a spectrum of ways they could have resolved it, from very bleak to very cheesy. And they honestly went cheesier than I thought they would. They didn't go super cheesy, but they went cheesier than I thought they would. So whenever I see this stuff about hard hitting and unrelenting, I'm like, it's not really that hard hitting. So it's not. But really liking season 2 of Star Trek Discovery, actually. That's another thing watching. And my long running favorite, The Walking Dead, has a pretty intense episode this week with the Whisperers killing a whole bunch of characters. If you haven't watched it yet, ooh, they kill a lot of people. Just like in the comics. That bit is exactly like the comics. They kill some different characters, But the big thing is they kill some long-running characters. So, yeah, I couldn't help thinking after the intensity of this week's The Walking Dead, the actor who plays the Doctor, and the character name slipped my mind because he hasn't been in it that much. He makes a speech, and I was just thinking, wow, he's beautiful. Like, he's got his big beard and stuff. He has these huge eyes, really brown eyes. And when he's making a speech, he got a very long close up. I was thinking, he's beautiful. Look at him. He's gorgeous. While he's making his emotional speech. Dr. Obama, ooh, what Star Trek generation would you recommend for someone to start with? I'm not a hardcore Trekkie, so I'm probably the wrong person to ask. Mrs. Angry is a hardcore Trekkie, and with her son, they did the epic thing of watching everything in the chronological order of the Star Trek universe. So that meant watching Enterprise, which prior to Disco was the most recently made series. Watching Enterprise first, because in the Star Trek universe chronology, that is before the original series. So it was like watch Enterprise, then original series, then start Next Generation. And then there's a website that helps you, because there's a certain point, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, and Voyager all cross over. So there's a website that helps you, tells you when to watch what episode. So they took ages, like the best part of a year, but they watched them in the chronology of the Star Trek universe. And of course, Disco would have really confused it, because I think they are going to ultimately reveal Star Trek Discovery is in a different timeline to the original series, Next Generation, and all them. Because they're doing too much that's too different. But yes. The Heretic, yeah, I'm more Star Wars than Star Trek, although we don't speak of the sequel. See, this is not a completely radical view, but the new Star Wars movies are way better than the older ones. I mean, the prequels are just fucking terrible, and it's kind of cheating to say the effects in the new one is better than the original trilogy. Of course they're better, but the acting's better, the storyline's better, the characters are better. I mean, Rogue One's probably the best of them, but I really liked The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. I think they're great movies. But Rogue One's a whole different level, because it's the first one that's not about, the glorious Skywalker family. It's not about emperors and royal families. It's about soldiers who are down in the dirt, who make terrible choices and really suffer the repercussions of those choices. And of course, there's the absolute kick-ass Darth Vader scene at the end of the movie, which I really enjoyed. Oh my God. People floating over profile pictures. Why not? Dr. Obama, you like the prequels for the video games. I love the people who say they like the prequels just because of the amount of memes they generated. And they did. It's weird. There are nowhere near as many memes of the original trilogy as there are of the prequels. There are millions of memes about the prequels and hardly any of the original trilogy, which is, I guess that's because as much as a lot of people say they hate the prequels, the meme generation grew up with the prequels. And so I think it's just like burned into their brains. Yes, they have to still have their high ground. But that's why it's always funny. Like, I haven't rewatched the prequels for ages, but last time I did, I was like laughing every time I saw a visual that's from a meme, and it's just like, oh my god, yeah, that was the meme scene. Okay, and the probably my favorite meme is the text put under the images, like Anakin's going up to Obi-Wan saying, you know, like, Master, what are you doing tonight? And Obi-Wan goes, more like, who am I doing? But seriously, nothing. What do you want to do? Stella, now that's a controversial statement. You like the prequels better than the sequels. That is definitely a controversial statement. I rewatched, okay, here's a weird thing. I rewatched Solo recently because it's on Foxtel now. And I watched it in the cinemas, and because it bombed quite badly and threw all the Disney plans about you know, anthology films out the window. And I can't really work out why Solo failed so badly. It's like it's delivering on everything the obnoxious misogynists said they hated about the newer Star Wars movies. It had everything. You know, it was led by the male character, and it was the old swashbuckling action and la-di-da-di-da-di-da. I honestly think whoever decided to release it in the American summer rather than in December, because that had been the thing, like the Star Wars movies were coming out in December, and someone just went, oh, let's release it now in the American summer. And it fucking failed miserably. And I reckon that was as big a problem as any, that they just released it at the wrong time of the year. Other Lando film, man, didn't Donald Glover do a good Billy D. Williams impersonation? I really enjoyed Donald Glover as Lando, but I was sitting there going like, dude, that's a really good Billy D. Williams impersonation. Whereas I thought the guy playing Han, I never went, oh, he's doing a Harrison Ford impression, because I didn't think so. But Donald Glover, I'm just going, dude, you're doing such a good Billy D. Williams there. But yes. Was that Justin? Have I seen Fantastic Beasts? Look, okay, controversial topic. I haven't seen the more recent one, The Crimes of Grindelwald, but that first one, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Here's my controversial statement. I think that's better than all the Harry Potter films. And I just rewatched the Harry Potter films recently, and I still think it. I still think Fantastic Beasts is a better movie than the Harry Potter movies. There you go. I said it. Stella, that is a difficult position to be in. You don't like the new Star Wars movies, and it puts you in the same camp as all those misogynists. Yeah, it's weird. See, personal taste is fine. When I know someone is literally just truly saying from personal taste, they don't like the new Star Wars movies, that's fine. Personal taste is personal taste. I think they're great, but it's personal taste. But yeah, those fucking misogynist, racist shitbags, their whole argument is just misogyny and racism, and they act as if we can't see that. It's ridiculous. Luke, what about cyclones around Australia? I don't know. I did see the high winds. I did see that picture of the wind map. The two cyclones up the north made it look like a smiley face over Australia, but not smiley. Bjorn, I heard that story that Depp wasn't an abuser, he was the abused, but I don't know if that's been confirmed. David, you still hanging out for the junior? Oh God, what's that misfoxification? That's pretty disturbing. Shots fired at a supermarket in Melbourne. Where's the news? Let's see if I can find a headline on it. Multiple unconfirmed reports across social media. Man or group of men. God damn. Yes. Oh, an hour ago. In Pakenham, which is further south from where I am. No injuries reported, and they're trying to find, because there are multiple reports of the shooting. There you go. Doesn't seem like a serious thing yet. Stella, I will also defend, while I'll both defend General Leah's use of the Force, and also Holdo's fucking ramming, the lightspeed jump ramming, and the way they did it with the silence, that was one of the most amazing pieces of cinema in Star Wars history. And I had a live stream once, and I said, okay, bring forth your arguments of what is wrong with The Last Jedi, and I will shoot it down, because all this ridiculous stuff, you ruined my childhood. Every single thing that happened in The Last Jedi was absolutely 100% consistent with the Star Wars universe. Everything. Again, it comes down to, if you're saying personal taste, you didn't like it, that's personal taste. But the people saying, oh, that didn't make sense. No, every single bit made sense. Akbar certainly didn't get a glorious death, which was a bit sad. He just more or less died off camera. But see, Dr. Obama, it's hard when you get all those voices drumming something into you. It's hard not to be affected by it. Yeah. Yes, I think we agree, Stella, that the General Leia Force thing and the ship jumping were both made. Plus, okay, the throne room with with Snoke's Praetorian Guard, best lightsaber fight ever. Best lightsaber fight ever. So, okay, Mimsy's sitting in my lap. I'm going to go to bed. And thank all you wonderful people for spending some time with me this evening. It has, as always, been great fun hanging out with you. So I hope you all look after yourselves. and see you again soon. And there you go, really easy. So everyone, look after yourselves. Hope to see you again soon. Yes, Heretic, I'm going to bed too. Thank you all for hanging out. I hope to see you again soon. But I will say bye for now. Goodbye.